was designed to be an atomic bomb. It's known as the McDonnell Douglas, or the Douglas A-4 Skyhawk 2, with a turbojet engine and a roll rate that is greater, I should say faster, than any unlimited aerobatic aircraft in the world today. This little airplane was designed by the same gentleman at Douglas Aircraft that designed that World War II, post-World War II, Korean and Vietnam A-1 Skyraider that we saw flown by the fighter factory. Today, this small airplane is being flown by Paul Wood. This is called Heineman's Hot Rod, or the Scooter. Let me tell you a little bit about this amazing airplane. The A-4 Skyhawk 2 was designed to be in production for only about 3 years, but it lasted a lot longer than that.
Hey, this is my 40. This is my 40.
It was going to be a one-way suicide mission to deliver that bomb. It never took place, but it became a conventional attack aircraft that served throughout the Vietnam era and was even for a time used by the United States Navy's Flight Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels. Paul Wood gets over the top and does a roll. He'll pull through and complete that loop. It even served in Operation Desert Storm. It's also been nicknamed the Phantom Bomber. It was ordered in 1952, remarkably light. It came in at half the weight that the Navy had said that requirement had to be. Heineman's Hot Rod, the Phantom Bomber, the Scooter. It just was an amazing performer. It was so small, with a wingspan of, wingspan I believe of only about 27.5 feet. It didn't even have to have folding wings. It was that small and light. The last Skyhawk was delivered to the Marine Corps in 1979. That roll rate, ladies and gentlemen, is 360 degrees per second. That's green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue. But if need be, Paul Wood could have shoved that stick all the way over and doubled that roll rate for at least one turn before the rudder started to couple and get a little problematic. But it was just an amazing airplane. Very, very tight in the cockpit. So tight that the pilot's legs, as they extended down to the rudder pedals, went through basically what was a cutaway in the instrument panel that would be shaped like his leg and then was covered with leather so the flight suit, so he wouldn't cut his flight suit's leg on the metal. Trying to punch out of this airplane, I'm not sure I'd want to do that. Paul Wood demonstrating just a fraction of this great airplane's capabilities. Paul's from Illinois. He founded the Warbird Heritage Foundation in December of 2003, but his aviation interest began when he was a young child and continues on to this day. He holds airline transport, pilot, and certified flight instructor certificates with over 5,000 hours of flight time, including over 1,000 hours in military-type jets. He was a member of the U.S. Navy Legacy Flight Program for several years. And besides flying the Foundation's Warbird, Paul has his own Cessna Citation and an Aviat Husky aircraft. He's a co-founder and managing director at a leading private equity investment firm, and he and his family live in Lake Forest, Illinois. took only 2 years from conception to the first flight of the experimental A4D1 prototype. It was powered by a Pratt & Whitney turbojet engine that generated about 9,200 pounds of thrust, giving it a top speed of 653 miles per hour, just shy of the speed of sound. The empty weight of the airplane is just over 10,000 pounds, but fully loaded, a maximum takeoff weight with fuel and all of the armament that it could carry, it would get up to 27,361 pounds. So it was a heavy lifter, able to carry more than its own weight in fuel and ammunition. And watch it climb. Is that a gorgeous sight or what, Oceana? With a roll and a half to the upright on that downline, Paul Wood in the scooter does just that. By the way, I want to say a great big hello as Paul extends out to the right to Steve Mayotte, Uncle Sam with us. Steve, nice to see you. Give him a big round of applause. The man who's here every year. Great to have you here, Steve, and participating in all that we do here at Oceana. Great to have you, buddy. Nice to see you. Now I'm listening for that turbojet because he's down low and coming in hot from the right. Over 500 knots. That's 570. This is a noisy engine. It's a turbojet. It's very simple in terms of the principle of operation of this jet. You suck the air in with a fan. You got a bunch of smaller fan blades and you compress that air. You take that compressed air, feed it into a combustion chamber with an igniter and fuel, and the controlled explosion goes out the back and makes it go, turning some more blades on the way out that make the front blades go faster and make it just more efficient. That's called, you suck it in, you squeeze it up, you blow it up, and you go. Now, some aircraft, like the airplane we will see next, has an afterburners, and that is another stage of the jet engine, which we'll talk about with Wallace Miller here in just a minute when we see the Super Hornet perform. But right overhead, no afterburner on this, and look at it climb. Like a homesick angel all the way up to where Marilyn Monroe lives. If I may quote one of my favorite areas going out there, Jerry Van Zimmer. Over the top quickly up to about 12,000 feet, it goes. Typically it had two 20mm Mark 12 cannons, and it could carry another 8,000 pounds of various external stores. It was a fast little booger. Watch him as he brakes. Does the carrier brake? Paul Wood from Illinois, a gentleman who is not a military pilot, but is superbly capable in this very, very nimble airplane. This is the type of aircraft that was flown by then Lieutenant John McCain, then now Senator John McCain.
This is just like...
When in 19 stayed aboard the aircraft carrier Forrestal, there was a huge mishap with a missile that cut loose and exploded and caused a huge fire and killed over 160 sailors on board that aircraft carrier. It took several days to get the fire out, as I recall. In the carrier configuration pass, as we have seen aerodynamically dirty, you will be able to easily see the landing gear down, flaps down, and a very long tail hook. It's a small plane, 27.5-foot wingspan, only 40 feet long, but it is 15 feet high from the bottom of the tires to the top of the tail, leaving a lot of room underneath for those other stores, centerline tank in this case, or bombs, rockets, or what have you. According to some reports, the A-4 was kind of like being at the controls of a bullet in flight. In addition to traditional bombing and other duties such as iron hand missions against North Vietnamese missile sites, it was intended for production from just 1954 through 57. But that production lasted 26 more years. In all, there were 23 different variants of the Skyhawk, a huge success story for the United States Navy and the Marine Corps and the air arms of a number of other nations. During the Vietnam conflict, one Skyhawk was struck by several 30-millimeter shells, but it was still able to return to its base more than 190 miles away. The Argentinian Air Force also flew examples of the Skyhawk. Israel flew it. They called it the Black Vulture. And touching down and rolling out, he'll come back in and we'll see that tall airplane. You'll see just how skinny it is when it turns toward the crowd. And we've got a little time, so